talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. One, two, three, four. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. Here we go now. I'm talking about Mr. Gulley, and you don't know where he's been. Oh no, he's been right in your alley. Well, I'm Mr. Gulley, yes I am. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way.
Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Thursday? I hope you're having a good one. I should stop saying the day, because some people listen to this like months later. They don't care what day it is. Maybe you do. Anyway, tonight I'm going to tell you about legendary comedian Bill Hicks. What a legend. And before we get to that, if you could like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those free things, man, they're totally free. And they help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-knowing, all-powerful algorithm. Then also, in addition to, plus as well, we have the super chats and the memberships. And when you do that, we love it because it helps us pay the bills around here. And the best way, in my opinion, to contribute to the show is a gifted membership. Gift some people some memberships. And right down there, it tells how in a second. Or you can go into the description and buy yourself some merchandise with the logo on it. We've got some new merchandise coming out. As soon as Cafe Press approves it, maybe I'll show some of that later. We're going to have Scont from Australia in one of our collections, and then another one with me. But they think Scont is something dirty, and I've had to explain to them what it means. And what it means is that Scott from Australia accidentally said his name wrong once, and myself and many other people will never let him forget it, as long as we all shall live. For the rest of his immortal life, we will never let him forget it. Anyway, let's get to some of your comments, and then we'll get into the topic at hand. By the way, when the topic at hand is finished, I will put up the link to the show, and then you can be on the show, or you can try to do things that'll get me deplatformed while you're on the show. I don't know. Who knows? People do all sorts of stuff. Terry Nee was here earlier. He says, I will definitely watch later. I will hold him to that. Thank you so much, Terry. Creepy Avatar Ken, who's a nice guy, but that is just a little unnerving. He says, howdy. Tim Jenkinson's here from across the pond. Good to see him. Ken says the South will rise again. Just saying. It never rose in the first place. How's it going to rise again? Anyway. Tim asks, when will that be? When South Americans take over the USA? That's not going to happen. Don't Tread on Me, which was a Revolutionary War thing. And also the United States national team also has that flag. Because, a lot of nations, well, England would be one of them, think that they can defeat us, and then the World Cup happens, and then they can never beat us. Revolutionary, just being obtuse for kicks, which I actually do appreciate that. Tim asks what the temperature is here today. I believe it was 93. So it cooled off. It's 80 in the studio, 80 degrees. And Tim says, I guess it's not so humid in Texas. Well, Texas is a big state, and we have everything. There's rivers, there's mountains, there's where I live in North Texas, Dallas. But if you go down Houston way, and certainly Galveston or Port Aransas, we are all along the Gulf of Mexico, or whatever we're calling it. Tim Jenkinson says, you should be smoking as it's a Bill Hicks episode. I thought about it, Tim, but I worked so hard to quit. I don't want to start again. When I was doing those shows with Bob Levy, I had quit smoking. Man, did it get the old wheelhouse fired up again. And I had to stop. Doopa-doopa-doo is here. She says, hello, Tom and chat. Looking forward to your take on Bill Hicks. Well, I'm a tremendous fan of Bill Hicks. The chef, yes, the chef himself is in the house. I described the chef. I said, one of my listeners actually knows my sister and met her at Noble Romans. He's a chef now. And my mother immediately said the chef's name. She goes, oh, I know who that is. And then she said his name. And so there you go, chef. You're well known in the family. Let's see. Considering he thinks he's the show producer, he doesn't show up much. I was thinking the same thing myself, Tim. I really was. And yes, Chef is in the house. Tim Jenkinson says, don't watch mafia movies. They're always smoking. Well, any movie made like before 1975. People are smoking like chimneys. And that used to be a big move. Like the girl's cigarette was a big thing in the movies back then. A big thing. Let's get to the topic at hand tonight. And that is the legend, the absolute legend that is Bill Hicks. His real name was William Melvin. His middle name was Melvin Hicks. And a legendary stand-up comic and a satirist. His material would usually cover social issues and the biting satire and sarcasm when he would discuss religion or politics or philosophy, and also very dark, very, very dark comedy. Before I forget, if you go onto YouTube and you just do a search for Bill Hicks Public Access, he went on this, and he was extremely famous at the time. It was, I think, less than a year before his death. He went on a tiny public access television show in Austin, Texas. And he was there for an hour and 18 minutes. They took calls. He wasn't necessarily trying to be funny. He was just talking. And I think it's one of the best and probably most appropriate things you can find about Bill Hicks, because it's so informal. It's such a thing that he would do. And he has a lot of interesting takes. And he was not afraid to talk to people calling in on the phone. Anyway, now, one of the reasons that you think, or that we think, or that a lot of people think, that Bill Hicks did stand-up comedy and perhaps was older than he really was that he started doing comedy at the age of 16. He started at the Comedy Workshop in Houston, Texas, and he toured so much. I'll get to that in a second. When I tell you how many dates that he would play every year, boom. He had a huge fan base in the United Kingdom. He went over there in the very early 90s and was very, very popular there. And he is considered one of the greatest stand-ups of all time. He was number 6 on Channel 4's list of the 100 greatest stand-up comics. And in 2010, moved up the list to number 4. In 2017, Rolling Stone ranked him as number 13 on its list of the 50 best stand-up comics of all time. Bill Hicks was born in Valdosta, Georgia. His dad was James Melvin Jim Hicks, and his mother is Mary Hicks. He had an older sister and an older brother. The family lived in Alabama, Florida, and New Jersey before they finally settled in Houston, Texas, when Bill Hicks was just 7 years old. He was drawn to comedy at an early age. He would emulate Richard Pryor, and he actually wrote routines with his good friend, a guy named Dwight Slade. Now, while attending Stratford High School, he began performing comedy for his classmates. And at home, he would write his own one-liners and slid them under the bedroom door of his brother Steve, and he thought Steve was a genius, and have Steve critically analyze them. And Steve told him, "Keep it up. You're really good at this." So early on, Bill Hicks would mock his family's Southern Baptist religious beliefs. He was brought up in a Southern Baptist home. He joked to the Houston Post in 1987, "We were yuppie Baptists. We worried about things like, if you scratch your neighbor's Subaru, should you leave a note?" His biographer, Cynthia True, described a typical argument with his father. His father would say, "I believe that the Bible is the literal word of God." And Bill would counter, "No, Dad, it's not." "Well, I believe that it is." "Well, some people believe they're Napoleon. That's fine. Beliefs are neat. Cherish them, but don't share them like they're the truth." Anyway, he was close with his family, however, his entire life. And he didn't really reject spiritual ideology. He always sought alternative methods of experiencing an enlightened state of being. That was a big thing with Bill Hicks. Kevin Slade, the older brother of his good friend Dwight Slade, introduced him to transcendental meditation. Over one Thanksgiving weekend, he took Hicks and Dwight to a transcendental meditation residence course in Galveston, Texas, which is near Houston, not super close, but near. He worried about his rebellious behavior, and so did his parents, who took him to a psychoanalyst at age 17. According to Hicks, the analyst took him aside after the first group session and said, "You can continue coming if you want, but it's them. It's not you." So Bill Hicks was associated with that group I told you about when we discussed Sam Kinison, the Texas Outlaw Comics group developed at the Comedy Workshop in Houston in the 80s. Now, in January of 1986, Hicks was using recreational drugs and his financial resources had dwindled. His career, though, got a huge shot in the arm in 1987 when he appeared on Rodney Dangerfield's Young Comedian special. And so that same year, he moved to New York City, and for the next 5 years, he performed over 300 times a year. Okay, now that's a lot of, there's only 365 days in a year. And most of us get the weekends off, which is 100 days off. So you're already down to 265 days. So he was working nearly every day of the year. On his album called Relentless, there it is, he jokes that he quit using drugs because, well, once you've been taken aboard a UFO, it's kind of hard to top that. Although in his performances, he continued to enthusiastically praise the virtues of LSD, marijuana, and psychedelic mushrooms. Now, Bill Hicks kind of believed that what we're doing now, living our lives, our actual awareness, our base level interaction with the universe around us, was not real, at least not totally real. And altering it, and I'll get into this a little bit more because he talked about this quite a bit, altering it was just a logical course of action. He's like, why would you stay here when you can take these chemicals and be here in this illusion? Anyway, he eventually, though, did, after quitting, fall back to chain smoking, a theme that figured heavily in his performances from that point on. His nicotine addiction, his love of smoking, and his attempts to quit became a recurring theme in his act throughout his entire career. I love it when he had a couple of things. You know, I'd quit smoking if I didn't think I'd become one of you people. He did not like people that criticized him for his smoking. I remember one performance where he's like lighting up on stage when you could, and another guy was sitting, "You smoke? How many packs a day?" And the guy goes, two packs a day. He goes, 2 packs a day. Why don't you just dress yourself up as a girl and call yourself Shirley? I go through 2 lighters a day, which I think is incredibly funny. Anyway, in 1988, he signed his first professional business manager, Jack Mondras, on the track Modern Bummer of his 1990 album, Dangerous. He says he quit drinking and alcohol completely in 1988. In 1989, he released his first video, which was called Sane Man, and a completely remastered version with 30 minutes of extra footage was released in 1999. Now, that album I told you about earlier, Dangerous, the one that's on screen right now, performed on the HBO special One Night Stand at Montreal's Just for Laughs Festival. They recorded it, thus the album. He was later engaged to his manager, Colleen McCarr, who actually booked him for this. We're going to freeze again, are we? Is that what we're going to do? Okay, now I got to just sit here and keep doing the show. Now we're back. Beautiful. Where was I at? Oh, he was also part of a group of American stand-up comedians performing in London's West End in November of 1990. And he was a huge hit in the UK and Ireland. And so he just stayed over there, continued touring there in 1991. All right. That year, he returned to the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal, and he made another album from that performance called Relentless. There he is. By the way, his bits when he was in Britain, he's like, it takes a little getting used to being in England. You know, I opened up the newspaper the other day and it said some hooligans knocked over a dustbin in Shaftesbury. Like, I'm sure it's a difficult thing, hooligans, but I'd like to see the hooligans face the Crips. That'd be a... Anyway, you'd have to hear the bit. I'll just ruin it. He made a brief tour into musical recording with the Marblehead Johnson album in 1992, collaborating with his high school friend Kevin Booth and Austin, Texas drummer Pat Brown. During that same year, he toured the UK, where he recorded the Revelations video. Yes, the Revelations video, which I sadly don't have a copy of that here to show you. For Britain's Channel 4. He closed the show with his soon-to-be famous philosophy regarding life called, "It's just a ride. It's just a ride." Also in that tour, he recorded the stand-up performance released in its entirety on a double CD entitled Salvation, and he was voted Hot Stand-Up Comic by Rolling Stone magazine in 1993. And by the way, these sort of early 90s things, especially 1993, will become very, very important later in this topic. Very important. Hey, why don't I get to some of your comments? I think I should. We're accumulating them. You know what I mean? In the good old days when you could smoke in offices and on planes, yes. That was his practice for becoming Alex Jones. Victor says he's sorry he passed. That's a funny conspiracy theory. Victor says, I'm sorry he's passed for the last... Dupa says to Victor, I've been sorry he passed for the last 30 years. Yeah, it's just tragic. Thanks, Dupa. People saying hi. People say, we do have the most cheerful chat room on the internet, as verified by independent sources. So the Wolf is here. People greeting him. People greeting everybody. A lot of people being greeted. Camera frozen. Yeah, Scott, it happens once an episode, and I'm not the only person this happens to now on StreamYard. I've been watching other shows recently, and it just freaks people out the first time they have it. You can't change it. It just stays locked. If you're lucky, which I've been recently, you just ride it out. That's all you can do. Ken says, I wonder if the 300 counts. I think it counts. The hooligan bit. Yes, Dupa, we're the hooligans. We're the hooligans. Said he was a hooligan. Pasty little guy. Anyway. People saying hi. People are saying hi all over the place. By the way, like, share, and subscribe and stuff. Almost no one is watching this show tonight. It just goes up and down like a merry-go-round horse. Anyway, Bill Hicks had quite an association with the metal band, the progressive metal band. Where's Metal Maiden Vicky when you need her? The progressive metal band Tool. And they invited him to open for a number of concerts in 1993 Lollapalooza appearances, where Hicks once asked the audience at Lollapalooza to look for a contact lens he had lost. And he actually got about, thousands of people looking on the ground for this contact lens before he just goes, what are you, fools? Anyway, members of Tool felt that Hicks and they were resonating similar concepts. Attending to raise awareness about Hicks's material and ideas, Tool dedicated their triple album, Enema, it's got a weird first letter, to Hicks. Both the lenticular casing of the album packaging and the chorus of the track titled Enema make reference to a sketch from Hicks's Arizona Bay album. I might as well just go ahead and put that up here. Arizona Bay album, in which he contemplates the idea of Los Angeles falling into the Pacific Ocean. The final track, Third Eye, contains samples from Hicks's Dangerous and Relentless albums. An alternate version of that artwork shows a painting of Bill Hicks, calling him another dead hero, and mentions of Hicks, are found in the liner notes and on the records. So, censorship. Oh, boy. And this is tough, because you guys know that Letterman is my guy. He's my guy. Letterman's my guy, right? Well, in 1984, he had been invited to appear on Late Night with David Letterman for the first time. He had a joke that he frequently used in comedy clubs about how he caused a serious accident that had left a classmate in a wheelchair. NBC had a policy that no jokes about the handicap could be aired, and so therefore his stand-up comedy routine was very difficult to perform because he couldn't use the word wheelchair, but the big one, the tough one. Man, oh man. On October 1st, 1993, Bill Hicks was scheduled to appear on The Late Show with David Letterman on CBS, where Letterman had recently moved. Now, it was his 12th appearance on a Letterman late night show, so he was friends with the show. They liked him on the show. They had returned onto the show. But his entire performance was removed from the broadcast. At that point, it was the only occasion where a comedian's entire routine was cut after taping. His stand-up routine was removed from the show, according to Hicks, because Letterman's producers believed the material, which included jokes involving religion and the anti-abortion movement, was unsuitable for broadcast. Now, producer Robert Morton initially blamed CBS, but CBS said, no, we didn't do that. Sorry. Later on, Morton conceded that it was his decision. Although Letterman later expressed regret at the way the situation had been handled, Hicks did not appear on the show again. He was undergoing chemotherapy at the time of that final appearance, unbeknownst to Letterman and most others outside of Hicks's family, and he would die less than 4 months later. Letterman aired the censored routine in its entirety on January 30th, 2009. Bill Hicks's mother, Mary, was present in the studio and appeared on camera as a guest, sitting right next to Dave. Letterman took responsibility for the original decision to remove the set from the 1993 show, and he says, it says more about me as a guy than it says about Bill. And after the set aired, he said, because there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. So there you are. Now, here's another thing about Bill Hicks, and many Bill Hicks fans pretty much want to go to war with a certain person about this. And incidentally, this is another tough one for me, and I'll tell you why in a second. For many, many years, Bill Hicks was friends with fellow comedian Dennis Leary. But in 1993, he got really ticked off by Leary's album, No Cure for Cancer, which featured many, many lines and a lot of subject matter similar to his own routine. And also, Bill Hicks had been doing all the smoking material for forever, and now Leary's doing it. Now, Dennis Leary, I think that his show, Rescue Me, about the New York Fire Department, is one of the funniest, greatest shows ever. I have the box set. But this stuff, and Louis C.K. and others have said, no, Dennis Leary just stole my stuff. He just completely stole it. Absolutely just stole it. So it's tough, According to American Scream, the Bill Hicks story by Cynthia True, hearing the album had infuriated Hicks. All these years, aside from the occasional jibe, he'd pretty much shrugged off the fact that Leary was lifting his material. Comedians borrowed, stole stuff, even bought bits from one another. Milton Berle and Robin Williams were famous for it, but this was different. Leary had practically taken line for line huge chunks of Bill's act and recorded it. As a result, the friendship ended abruptly. Now, you can go on YouTube and see examples of this that, you can't just say, oh, we came up with the same thing. That happens. Or there's a thing called cryptomnesia, which is people hear things and they incorporate them without really knowing it. It is a thing. But at least 3 stand-up comedians have stated on record that Leary stole Hicks's material and copied his persona and attitude. In an interview, when Hicks was asked why he'd quit smoking, he answered, I just wanted to see if Dennis would do it too, which is really pretty good. In another interview, Hicks said, I have a scoop for you. I stole Dennis Leary's act. I camouflaged it with punchlines and to really throw people off. I did it before he did. So obviously he was ticked off. And that is so Bill Hicks. The sarcasm is just... During a 2003 Comedy Central roast of Leary, comedian Lenny Clark said that a carton of cigarettes from Hicks was backstage with the message, wish I'd gotten these to you sooner. But they cut the joke from the broadcast. American Scream describes an incident in the plagiarism controversy. Leary was in Montreal hosting the Nasty Show at Club Soda, and Colleen McGarr, Hicks's fiance manager, was coordinating the talent, so she stood backstage and overheard Leary doing material incredibly similar to old Hicks riffs, including his perennial Jim Fixx joke, Keith Richards outlived Jim Fixx, the runner and health nut. The plot thickens. When Leary came off stage, Colleen, more stunned than angry, said, hey, you know that's Bill Hicks's material. You do know that's material. And Leary stood there, stared at her without saying a word, and then briskly left the dressing room. So, yeah, that's one of the more famous things about Bill Hicks that lives on to this day is that Dennis Leary just completely stole all of his stuff. So there you are. We got any new stuff I need to let's see here. Hello, Scott. Say Bill Hicks, people who hate people, another favorite, yeah, and I hate people like that. Hate them all, better late than never, says Gene1313. Good to see you, Gene. People saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi, people saying hi. The joke thief, yeah. Ken says he camouflaged it by making the jokes have punchlines. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Bill Hicks's performance, I'm going to put this up here. This is actually a great documentary that you should see it if you ever get a chance. Bill Hicks's performance style was like a play on his audience's emotions. He expressed anger, disgust, apathy, and he had a very casual, personal style that he said, I always wanted it to be like I was talking with friends. He would invite the audience to challenge his authority and the existential nature of accepted truth. He questioned everything. He questioned being frozen on screen by StreamYard. I pay for this, people. Anyway, with your kind donations. Maybe that's why you people don't donate. Not you people. You're the good people. Other people that come in here off the street, they haven't put in the time that you have. Anyway, they do that because they don't want StreamYard to get the money. Anyway, he would deliver things in like a news report style sometimes. Like he'd go, today a young man on acid realized that all matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration, that we are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we're the imagination of ourselves. Now here's Tom with the weather. Anyway, there's another thing that you can see online. Oh man, and it's brutal. There was a night in Chicago in 1989 Back then, comedy clubs, because that's back when I was performing comedy. Comedy clubs had like a not very good VHS tape recorder camera. And they would tape your set for you. And you'd have it mostly to see how your set went and, you know, did this work, did that work, whatever. But the quality isn't great. But they do have this particular night in Chicago in 1989. A heckler keeps shouting "Freebird" during his set. And Hicks just screams, Hitler had the right idea. He was just an underachiever. And he really gets into it with this drunk woman in the front row. There's a bootleg called I'm Sorry, Folks. But he just goes off on a tangent for the rest of his set. You know, he basically starts espousing genocide for stupid people. And not in a very... And not in a nice way. Not the nice way of espousing genocide for stupid people. He regularly attacked mainstream society, religion, politics, consumerism. He was very anti-market. There's a great thing. If you're in advertising or marketing, unalive yourself. No, I'm serious. I'm not. This isn't a joke. This isn't a bit. I see what you're doing, Bill. You're going after that anti-mainstream audience. That's a good audience. We could market to that. No, I'm just seriously, I'm saying. Anyway, in an interview recorded after one of Hicks's shows in Santa Monica and part of a 6-episode BBC Two series called Funny Business, Hicks was asked if audiences got upset while he said on stage, and he responded by saying that occasionally audience members did not find his material funny, but that not only would it be impossible to please everyone, it wasn't his responsibility to do that. He recounted an instance when an audience member snidely told him, "We don't come to comedy to think." And he responded, "Well, gee, where do you go to think? I'll meet you there. We don't have to do this here." When one of the interviewers then asked whether there was a halfway point between pleasing an audience and offending an audience, he said, "Yeah, my way is halfway between. I mean, I'm in a nightclub and these are adults. What do you expect? What are you going to see on? Are you going to see this on TV? No. And it's not live, and it's my show. What am I supposed to do? Change my own outlook and my beliefs to be what to them, and why?" And arguing that to simply give audience wasn't what they wanted was a form of condescending to them, Hicks explained that his approach was instead to speak to audiences on an equal footing as though they were his friends. And when one of the interviewers challenged that audiences just wanted to be entertained, Hicks said, "When did thinking not become entertaining? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go out and tickle them individually? I have to express some ideas here." He was strongly against political correctness and jokingly stated that the politically correct should be hunted down and killed. He often discussed popular conspiracy theories in his performances, most notably the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. By the way, tomorrow night, the Gulf of Tonkin incident for all you conspiracy buffs. He mocked the Warren Report in the official version of Lee Harvey Oswald as one lone nut assassin. He also questioned the guilt of David Koresh and the Branch Davidians during the Waco siege. He ended some of his shows, especially those being recorded in front of larger audiences, his albums, with a mock assassination of himself on stage and falling to the ground. His bit about the new president, every year they elect a new president, first thing they do is take him into a room, dimly lit. There's a guy smoking a cigar at the end of the room that's just puff, puff, puff. Show him the film. And a projector screen comes down and it starts showing a version of the Kennedy assassination from an angle that you've never seen before, suspiciously like it came from the grassy knoll. And then the screen rolls up and the guy with the cigar goes, "Any questions?" "Just what my agenda is." Anyway, he did a lot of stuff. Oh, God, was he funny. However, on June 16th, 1993, Hicks was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer that had spread to his liver. He still toured and recorded his album, Arizona Bay, that one right there, while receiving weekly chemotherapy. Following his cancer diagnosis, Hicks often joked that any given performance could be his last. The public, however, much like in the case of Norm Macdonald, was unaware of his condition, and only a few close friends and family knew of his disease. He performed the final show of his career at Carolyn's in New York on January the 6th, 1994, and then moved back to his parents' home in Little Rock shortly thereafter. This was January 6th, and, well, it was less than 2 months later that he died. In his last weeks, Bill Hicks reread J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings and made telephone calls to family and to friends to say goodbye before he stopped speaking on February 14th, Valentine's Day of 1994. He died on February the 26th, just 12 days later, at the age of only 32 years old, and was buried in the family grave plot in the Magnolia Cemetery in Leakesville, Mississippi. In early 1995, about a year later, Hicks's family released a brief essay which he had written in the weeks before his death, and I will read it to you in just one moment, but that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Let me get to a few of your comments. Saw a woman get handcuffs taken off today. Well, that's nice of you to do that for her. Victor, was this on stage? Ken says, Tom Gulley, conspiracy theorist. No, I only tell you about the ones that are real. Victor's doing his own one-man show in our chat again, which we enjoy, Victor. Don't get all bent out of shape. Here's that essay that Bill wrote before he died. Man. I was born William Melvin Hicks on December 16, 1961 in Valdosta, Georgia. Ugh. Melvin Hicks from Georgia. Yee-haw. I had already gotten off to life on the wrong foot. I was always awake, I guess you'd say. Some part of me clamoring for new insights and new ways to make the world a better place. All of this came out years down the line in my multitude of creative interests that are the tools I now bring to the party. Writing, acting, music, comedy. A deep love of literature and books. Thank God for all the artists who've helped me. I'd read these words and off I went, dreaming my own imaginative dreams, exercising them at will, eventually to form bands, comedy, more bands, movies, anything creative. This is the coin of the realm I use in my words, vision. On June 16, 1993, I was diagnosed with having liver cancer that had spread from the pancreas. One of life's weirdest and worst jokes imaginable. I'd been making such progress recently in my attitude, my career, and realizing my dreams that it just stood me on my head for a while. Why me? I would cry out. And why now? Well, I know now there may never be any answers to those particular questions, but maybe in telling a little about myself, we can find some other answers to other questions. That might help our way down our own particular paths toward realizing my dream of new hope and new happiness. Amen. I left in love, in laughter, and in truth, and wherever truth, love, and laughter abide, I am there in spirit. And those were the words of the essay of Bill Hicks. I'll tell you a little bit about his legacy here in a second. Doop-a-doop-a-doo said, in the 90s, my friends and I found a set of Bill Hicks VHS tapes in Gold Mine magazine. It contained the cable access show, the Chicago show, Bill Hicks at the Waco compound, a family get-together, etc. Oh, that is awesome, Dupa. That is awesome. What a great performer. Victor misses Whitney Houston. Not really much like Bill Hicks in tone and theme, but thank you, Victor. Victor, are you a cop, or did this woman randomly choose you to hug? And we'll never know the answer to a direct question, Dupa. I'm sorry. Comedy seems to decline every decade, doesn't it, though? Bill Hicks's albums, Arizona Bay, and another one called Rant in E minor. Let me put that one up. You haven't seen that one yet. Rant in E minor were released posthumously in 1997 on the Voices imprint of the Ryko disc label. Dangerous and Relentless were re-released simultaneously. At the time of his death, Hicks was working with comedian Fallon Woodward on a pilot episode of a new talk show called Counts of the Netherworld for Channel 4 over in the UK. The budget and concept had been approved and a pilot was filmed. The Counts of the Netherworld pilot was shown at the various 10th anniversary tribute night events around the world on February 6th, 2004. In a 2005 poll to find the comedian's comedian, comedians and comedy insiders voted Hicks number 13 on their list of greatest comedy acts ever. In Comedy Central Presents 100 Greatest Stand-Ups of All Times, Hicks was ranked 19th. March of 2007, he was voted 6th on Britain's Channel 4 list of 100 greatest stand-up comics and went to number 4, as I mentioned earlier, in the 2010 list. Devotees have incorporated... I am not speaking well today. Devotees have incorporated Hicks's words, image, and attitude into their own creations. By means of audio sampling, fragments of his rants, diatribes, social criticisms, and philosophies have found their way into many musical works. I'm not going to go through them all. There simply are too many. Absolutely too many. From Radiohead to... I'm not going to go through them all. Tom Waits said that Rant in E minor is one of his most 20 cherished albums of all time. Comedians who have cited Bill Hicks as an inspiration include Joe Rogan, Dave Attell, Louis Black, Patton Oswalt, David Cross, Russell Brand, Ron White, Frankie Boyle, Jimmy Dore, Lee Camp, and Brendan Burns. The political cartoonist Mr. Fish said that he learned everything from Bill Hicks. British actor Chaz Early portrayed Hicks in a one-man stage show called Bill Hicks' Slight Return, which premiered in 2004. And it was Bill Hicks' view of the world 10 years after his death, an imagined version of it. On February 25th, 2004, British MP Stephen Pound tabled an early day motion titled Anniversary of the Death of Bill Hicks, the text of which reads, that this House notes with sadness the 10th anniversary of the death of Bill Hicks on 26th of February 1994 at the age of 32, and recalls his assertion that his words would be a bullet in the heart of consumerism, capitalism, and the American dream, and mourns the passing one of the few people who may be mentioned as being worth inclusion with Lenny Bruce in any list of unflinching and painfully honest political philosophers. Yes, very well. Criticism, there is some. I'm not going to mention it here because it's a bunch of hooey. Oh, this guy, Dara O'Brien, has criticized it's a guy actually, what he calls the hagiography that surrounds Bill Hicks, saying that Hicks has become the poster boy for a rock journalism view of comedy, one that thinks that the only decent comedy is a very angry kind, which is absolute nonsense. It's become a complete cliche. Yeah, because now we have all this soft comedy that doesn't challenge you or attack any mores of any kind. So, anyway. A bunch of documentaries. One's a bootleg called Annex Houston from 1986, and it's an early stand-up performance. Sane Man, I mentioned that earlier, first official video recording of a Bill Hicks show. Ninja Bachelor Party is a low-budget comedy film produced by and starring Bill Hicks. One Night Stand, a half-an-hour performance recorded for the HBO stand-up series. Relentless, we mentioned that one. And Revelations, live from the Dominion Theatre in London in November of 1992. Documentary titled American, the Bill Hicks story, was based on interviews with his family and friends, premiered on March 12, 2010 at the South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin, Texas. Russell Crowe announced in 2012 that he would direct a Bill Hicks biopic. They thought that Russell would play Bill, but Mark Stauffer, the actor's schoolmate and writer on the film, suggested that the part remained open, for casting. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was frequently mentioned as a choice by fans. Since 2018, there's no further announcements about this, so it's stopped. On October 28, 2018, it was announced that Richard Linklater was set to direct a biopic about Bill Hicks for the film production company Focus Features. As of December 2024, the project remains in development. Yeah, because we need more movies about Elvis and Bob Dylan. Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks, we're not going to get around to those, but, you know, Elvis and Bob Dylan, so little is known about them in our culture that we really need more of those. Anyway. And this is the story that Victor's telling. I'm not going to tell it here in my chat. I have no idea what it's about. None. Zero. It's just these stories that pop up, and it's this running stream of consciousness that who knows what it's attached to. So, sorry, that's the last you're getting. Jerry Sadowitz was similar in his not caring if people were offended. I can't. Yeah, Dupa, there you go, Wolf. I think maybe. Not familiar with Jerry Sadowitz. We'll have to check him out. Yeah, it's interesting. There's some people that overlap, but Great Britain and the UK, they have their own comedy people. And we have our own comedy people. And someone who's spectacularly famous there may be unknown here and vice versa. There are those that cross over. Don't get me wrong. But Tim Jenkins says that's just because Dara O'Brien isn't funny. Exactly. All the soft comics that aren't funny, that are just whimsical and nobody really laughs, and they are the ones with all the opinions. Let me tell you. Because the good ones, they're like, hey, everybody should just be able to get up there and do their thing. I don't have an opinion on it. It's a wide open deal. Dupa, he's a Scottish guy. He got canceled because he offended people. Yes, Ken. Yes, Ken. Thanks, Tom. I fried rice during the show, and my kids heard relatively few bad words. Well, I don't use bad words on my show. And as the Wolf will tell you, also in my private life, I'm pretty much a monk. I never use bad language, ever. I'm very eloquent. Duba says, a waitress asked me, why are you reading? Not what are you reading? Why are you reading? Yes. Why are you reading? I don't know. So I'm not a waitress at a Waffle House. Yeah. Oh. I'd like you to meet my sister and my wife. And there was just one girl there. Yeah. It's so many great Bill Hicks lines that I will. There's another. Here's another one, totally Bill Hicks. It's a DVD set with a lot of stuff on it that you should really check out. Bill Hicks is just, he was just amazing on every level, on every single level. Yeah. Why are you reading? Oh, looks like we got us a reader. Well, I guess for starters, I'm reading because I don't want to be a waitress at a Waffle House. Oh, God, there's so many good. His flying saucer tour, I won't spoil that joke either. But go watch some Bill Hicks. And then the last thing you watch should be that cable access thing, because that's really not him doing a show. That's him just talking as a guy. He's just talking as a guy, that talks about things that a guy talks about, you know what I'm saying? Let's see here. I got to get this link pin. I got to get me this link pin. Oh, looks like we got us a reader. It looks like we got us a reader. I'd like you to meet my sister and my wife. There's just one girl there. Let's see. Let's just see. Okay, so if you want to be on the show, let me pin this thing here so I can feel good about it. Pin massage. Pin the massage. Well, I got some other stuff going on YouTube. Apparently YouTube's got some other stuff. I know about that. I know about that. I know about that. I don't know why they tell me about things I've already acknowledged, but they do. When Jesus comes back, do you really think he wants to see a cross? That's like wearing a... Pretty sure you guys can hear that. Loser. It's 8 o'clock at night. Come on, man. Give it a rest. Give it a rest. That's like wearing a rifle pendant in front of Jackie Onassis. Just thinking of John, Jackie. Just thinking of John. Oh, dear me. Dear me, dear me, dear me. Tomorrow night, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. There you go. I pinned the thing to the deal. So if you want to be on the show, that's the way to do it. Yeah, it was the ice cream guy. It was the ice cream guy. And I had that meeting today. The guy ghosted me on, and then the guy had this meeting, and it was about a thing that needs to be done, and we went through the whole meeting, and suffice it to say that I went through that whole meeting just kind of ticked off, but being as nice as I could. I didn't want to be a jerk. However, about 15 minutes after the meeting was over, I realized that the thing that he was asking me to do, I had already completed. Because he said we were talking about all these details and stuff, but he never said the name of the people that needed this done. And when he sent it to me after the meeting was over, I went, "Oh yeah, I've already done that." And I'm not gonna call him back and tell him that I've already done it. I'm gonna have a little fun. If Jesus returns as the Pope loses his job, I don't think he loses his job. I think he just has different duties. I want to be on this show, but I'm not dressed in a shirt and tie. Well, you don't have to turn your camera on. You can just click the link and then turn the cam. You can just use your microphone, is what I'm saying. That's what the Wolf does. But I mean, I don't imagine. Look, it's the most fun is when people that want to argue with me come on. That's what people like to see. And so, just like when I had the phone number for all those years, no, not that many people called in. I don't know why. I'm a barrel of laughs. And you know what I was thinking about today? We haven't seen Doc Torn here in a while in our chat room, and I miss that guy. I hope he's keeping busy, or he's got a lot of work to do, or he's got, I hope there's not been any problems or anything, but I miss that fella. And the reason I mention it is because I'm having boudin this evening. Having some boudin. Okay, thanks. Let's see here. Victor says, got to take my shoes off, get ready for bed. Dupa-doo, is that okay with you? Victor, you're just a little out of control today. Not that you aren't normally, but just a little bit. It's all right, man. We understand. We get it. Victor, are you writing a blues song? Gotta get my shoes on, get ready for bed. Doo-ba-doo, is that okay with you? He's writing a blues song. I think Victor would like to call in. Well, you can click the link if he wants to. He has a lot to discuss. Well, he would just begin talking about, something else. Nonsense. This is a shirt tie affair between you and me where the awfulers are doing way too much. Oh, well. Are they? Are they really? I think they're just reporting the news. But if you believe you need a shirt and tie, that's fine with me. Oh, the wolf's trying to get here. See, the wolf tries to get here, and then it says device is not connected. So I don't know what to do. Be honest with me, it's burning up in here. It's like 80 or 82 degrees. I haven't turned the AC on here yet. I'm holding out for as long as I can. Because I don't mind it being 82. See, here's the deal. When it gets to be 100, then I'll turn the AC on and I'll set it at 82, because then it'll be a nice cool 82. Right now it's a hot 82. Oh, looky there. Look at that fella right there. Hello? Hello, wolf? Oh, hello? You're on the air, my man. Can't hear him. We can't hear him. We can see him talking. He's got a jacked up setup, I'm telling you. He's got that setup jacked up 8 ways to Sunday. That's a hell of a nice shirt, though. I wish I had that shirt. Let's see here. Well, I'm sure at some point the wolf will begin speaking. Who even says that word? I never do. Would love if Victor called in and told his story. His Hannah Kankov. I don't want to hear that story. 92 here today, says Michael Gardner. I don't know where he's coming out of there, but I was pretty close. That was 93 here today. It's the metal hips interfering with the Wi-Fi. Victor just wants to go to bed. I promise you a shirt and tie. Okay. Wolf says in person, yay. Well, it's a nice shirt, but no tie. Well, he lives in San Diego area, so, I don't think it's a different standard for. Michael Gardner says, my buddy Terry would like what's going on over there. Terry Nee said he was going to listen, and I haven't seen hide nor hair of that man. You're okay, Dupa. Victor's just tired. Yes, Dupa said, yes, Victor, I'm okay. Are you? Anyway, I'm going to have to end this thing. We're going to have to put a fork in this thing. Absolutely. I don't think we got over 10 people watching this show at one time today. And it's days like today that I go, should I even be doing this? I could go out onto a street corner and talk to more people. But I'll make some boudin, and then everything will be fine. Everything will be fine then. All right, we got devices not connected again. Here we go. And I say Ruta Lee. Yes. Yes. Time for the return of the sports show. You know, Tim, I was thinking about that, and I don't think there'd be anything wrong with me returning the sports show. But I think if I did that, I would just make it all soccer. I don't really care about the other ones. Although the Pacers are in the conference finals for the first time in a long time. Looky there. There he is. Hello. Hello, Mr. Wolf.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
Well, now my phone is jacked up.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a tough break. And the hits just keep on coming. Oh, he's back. Here we go. There he is. Now he's back.
I'm guessing that this stupid computer is trying to sync with my phone or something screwed up.
I'm going to agree with you that something is afoot.
What was the hint?
I don't know. It just seems like you got a really good understanding of what's going on there. So when you say,
listen, last night I was on this thing for an hour running it through their system, and everything worked just fine. And the minute I put backstage, the whole thing froze up again.
No, I'm saying you seem to have a good grasp of what's going on. So if you tell me something's jacked up, I'm going to agree with it.
You're going to believe me?
Yes. Plus, I have evidence that backs that up. Tim Jenkins says it would be easier to talk with the International Space Station.
Yeah, but hey, that fits. How easy it is to get me on the phone.
Yeah.
Everything's consistent.
Yeah. Were you a fan of Bill Hicks?
Never even heard of him.
Oh boy, you should watch some Bill Hicks. Man, oh man.
Yeah, I basically knew guys that Dobe and I watched on at the Comedy Store. And then, the obvious really big comedians, but
well, that was the thing about Bill Hicks is he shot to the top so fast and performed a lot, but he was not around that long. He died so early and went over to England for several years at the end of his career. But yeah, Bill Hicks, you need to look him up and see if you can see some of his material because he was really just the most sarcastic and just very funny. Yeah, check him out.
Yeah, I saw that your pinned thing, and I'm like, well, who the heck is Bill Hicks?
Yeah, Bill Hicks. There's a great, and you can find this, but there's a great. Well, that's not it. Wait a minute. They had the stage. There we go. There's a great documentary about him called American: The Bill Hicks Story that you in your vast resources of pirating the internet of content can find.
I was looking at something before I tried to get on YouTube, and it was showing movies and showing the price of. It's YouTube showing the price of these movies if you buy them, and I'm like, why do I need to buy a movie that I can watch for free
Yes.
just by clicking a few buttons.
Yeah. Just by going to freeWatchMovies123.cz or .xf or whatever country that you're going into. Yeah, I do have to say, man, when I was out there in Utah, desperate for things to watch and do, you turned me on to Vumu, and man, I wore that thing out. Ken says I prefer shows that get fewer viewers. Sorry, I get why you wouldn't. Man, this show, I had somebody the other day, somebody that's got a real popular show that's got like 50,000 subscribers. He goes, I was talking to my producer the other day, and we both looked at each other and said, why doesn't this guy have like at least 20,000 people? It's the biggest mystery on earth. And I'm like, you must not watch the show very often. That to me would be the best evidence for that. But
Yes, sir, you better do some research, then you'll have your answer.
well, and I told him I said it's because I don't light my nose hair on fire and I don't get in arguments with other shows, and
Every other word is not a swear word.
Yeah.
You're not.
yeah, and I don't talk about the Marvel universe or true crime. Tim Jenkinson says you don't have the dodgy fire sticks in America, so you can watch TV and movies for free. Well, we don't have those necessarily, although if anybody does, it would be the wolf. But we have we have websites that, because Vumu, what was it? Vumu.to, was it, or co? TO, yeah. Vumu.to, when it was around, man, it had everything. Now, you had to get used to either, I couldn't turn up my pop-up stuff because of work, but you might have to, when a show started, click 4 pop-up ads real fast, but then you were cool for a while. But it had everything in high quality. And movies the day after they came out, man, they were on Vumu.
Sometimes from one of the one of the websites that I get, it's coming from Russia.
Yeah.
So you got those. I can watch every sporting event in the world for free. All these pay-per-views that people dole out cash for, I watch for free. You just gotta,
Tim Jenkinson says that's a good way to get a computer virus. Tim, what would lead you to believe that the wolf would ever have a computer virus? Never mind.
I guess he's never heard of malware bytes. He's never heard of virus protection. He's never.
No, we certainly don't have any evidence that your computer could have any sort of viruses. Well, my thing was that, like, I remember back, it must have been in 2008, I bought this service. I paid $25 for it for life, and I haven't been back to it for a million years. I probably couldn't even find the website. But it was a site that gave you all of the soccer matches that are televised in the world. So you'd go to, say, Arsenal versus, whoever, Southampton. And there would be like 10 links there. So you'd click the first one and it might be out of Russia or somewhere, but you could watch the match. And then at a certain point, it might get anti-pirated. So you'd click the next link and maybe it would already be in, but there was enough links there that you finally would get it again. And I'm telling you what, there was at least 300 links up at any given moment in time. And I was not upset by the $25. I probably watched it for about 3 years and watched a ton of matches. And then it got to the point where a lot of the links weren't working, and I just got tired of jumping from one to another and didn't do it. But
they're constantly trying to put those sites down because of copyright infringement. The one that I watched for sports, where you could watch every volleyball game, every soccer match, every football game, was free streaming sports live, and that was coming from Russia. So they kind of left that one alone. It's still up.
Ken says Torrent Day works for me.
Well, I was using torrents for Linux.
You know, Tim Jenkins says good value for the matches you saw. And another thing I used to do, and I don't hardly do anymore, is that if you're a member of the Arsenal website, they wouldn't show you the match, but they would show you the announcers of the radio or the audio version. They could show you like the warm-ups and the guys walking out, but when the match started, boom, you'd go to the dudes up in the stands with those soccer microphones that have the little flags on the side of the microphones. Have you seen those, Wolf? They're not like a regular open microphone. Yeah. So, and Tim says, I bet he was watching the beach volleyball. I got to say, I like watching the ladies beach volleyball. I really do enjoy it.
Oh boy!
And the preseason friendlies. We didn't even get the preseason friendlies. Yeah,
you can see my trophies in the background. I should get rid of those.
Why?
They're in the way. They don't mean anything. Nobody cares about them, including me.
Well,
it's just extra stuff.
I had all these soccer trophies. I mean, dozens of them. And they were at my parents' house. And I came by one time and I was looking for a bunch of my stuff. I was like, I need to get this stuff around. They may have asked me, you got some stuff over here if you want to come get it. And it was probably my mid-20s. And I remember going, what happened to all my soccer trophies? And they sold them at a garage sale. And I thought, who buys trophies from a garage sale with somebody else's name on them? Or not all of them had my name on them, but it was like, who buys all this? Anyway, so I only had a few. I don't think I have a single trophy left. I've got like some paperweight type things that were marble. They're almost like a plaque, but they lay on a table. But other than those, I don't have anything. I don't have a darn thing.
I left all of mine. I had to leave all. Well, I didn't want them anyway, but I had hundreds of those blue ribbons that they gave you when you won track meets.
Oh, yeah.
I had hundreds of those, and the 2 plaques I got from that open tournament wrestling in the 2 years at Ball State, and then my football stuff, and
I think I might have one of my Ball State indoor soccer trophy. I don't think it was even a trophy, though. I think it was the same thing. I think it was like a plaque.
Like a plaque. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I don't even remember getting them.
Tim Jenkins.
I don't. I don't remember getting anything from. I just lost to 2 wrestling coaches, and then
Tim Jenkins says stolen valor. They changed their name to Tom Gulley and became a goalkeeping coach. Well, I don't know what they did, but I don't have them anymore. And I don't care. And I don't care. I'm like the Wolf. It's like nobody cares.
Yeah, who cares?
Well, if I had kids, or maybe if you had kids, then that's something they might want. But who cares?
I guess if you're going to have a music, here's the deal. I used to do Don Perdome's windows in his shop, and he has all of his dragsters there that he ever raced. The team dragsters. He has every trophy that he ever won, and it's like 4 cabinets wide and 5 shelves high. of all these NHRA trophies he won. Then he has his championship. They're like crystals. And then you go around the corner and into this room, and every driving suit, helmet, gloves, shoes that he wore, he has on clothing racks, like in a retail store. And they use that place as a museum. And I guess they sell memorabilia and that kind of stuff because he's been retired.
Well, now you're on to something. Now you're on to something. I need to establish the Tom Gulley Museum.
Charge a couple of bucks for him to get in.
So people can see all my T-shirts and stuff. But let's see here. When the Tom Gulley Show becomes world famous, those trophies will be up for auction. It's not going to be world famous, I think, at this point. I mean, I've done 500 shows. I think the internet and the world at large have quite correctly taken a pass. I think most people have just said, yeah, I got other things to do. Tonight's show, Bill Hicks. Boy, you would think that people would want to see a show about Bill Hicks. I will say this, though. Since I started doing this format of show, the Let Me Tell You About shows, these shows continue to, not a lot, but they do continue to get views. The past shows that I did, when it was just that day's weird news, they never got viewed again after about 2 or 3 days. Never got looked at again. These ones, for instance, the show that I did on pickleball, it has, over the last, however long it's been since I did it, has continued to get, 10, 20, 30 views a day. So it just, the Rickles show was like that too. It kept getting views. So, I think one thing that's been hindering the show lately is nobody really famous has died. I have the ability to do a show nearly immediately when somebody famous dies, and that gets you a lot of... So if somebody famous could die... The other thing is that I was thinking about the other day, we have a new pope, and he's from Chicago. So for all we know, Wolf, we could have been up there eating a brat next to that guy at a Cubs game. And they've interviewed his brother, who's a real Chicago guy. He's like, oh, yeah, my brother's the Pope now. He's a great guy. We used to wrestle in the backyard. You used to wrestle the Pope in your backyard? Oh, yeah, we used to have sword fights and everything else. Let's see. Jenkinson here says, see, I told you could become the internet's #1 source for pickleball news. I really could. I really could. I could take that over before... I could be the Howard Cosell, the Al Michaels of pickleball. I really could. We've got crap announcers for soccer here. One of the most popular shows is called Men in Blazers, and it's a British guy. Why are we letting this British guy come over here? Because he talks about U.S. soccer all the time, but then when the British thing happens, it's very clear where his allegiances lie. And we have terrible soccer announcers. Oh, Wolf, I almost sent you the link to one of the matches I was watching last week, the highlights of it. Oh, my! And it's like the guy shot the ball 20 feet above the goal. And this guy is acting like it was Gordon Banks' save on Pele in the 70 World Cup. I mean, he's just... And that's the way it is. It's like pro wrestling, the way they announce soccer here. And most of these announcers, the bad ones anyway, sometimes they'll have a guy that's pretty good for color, but the play-by-play announcer, they have come from other sports. And I think it's Major League Soccer going, oh, this guy's popular in this town because he does the NBA team, or this guy's popular. And these announcers, these sports announcers, have so much ego. They go, well, of course I can do soccer. And so they just sit and read stats and things while they're in the breaks rather than shutting up like they do in I got to say it. The UK has the best soccer announcers. And, I know a lot of people like the Mexican with all that and overly excited, but even they do it better. U.S. soccer has always been seen as a bit of a joke. Oh, really, Tim? Were you laughing in 1950?
Oh, here we go.
Didn't think so. Were you laughing in, what was it, 2014? Didn't think so. Well, some people might have been laughing at Robert Greene, but were you laughing at just the last World Cup when you can beat us in a...
You know, racing is the same way. It's got all the announcers are from England.
Well, the British announcers, they know how to do it because they don't overdo it. You know, it's...
IMSA, the NTT, IndyCar has got Lee Diffie and some other dude.
Oh, Lee Diffie.
Well, I'm saying that whether you like him or not as a announcer or commentator, he's still not American.
Well, they do the Indy 500 pretty well. You know, pretty well. Let's see. Tim Jenkins says it was always where players went to in their later years for some easy money. Now Saudi has taken its place. Well, I don't know. Lionel Messi's here. And Lionel Messi came here immediately after winning the World Cup and being the most valuable player in a World Cup. So I'm just saying. David Beckham came here off of Real Madrid. Later years, we don't get that many British players here. Not in Major League Soccer. Nope. Not very many. Not these days.
I'm sure there's a tax advantage.
Well, no, we want the good players. Look at any team in the English.
True, but they still have a tax advantage being here, other than Monaco or living someplace like that. God, the taxes in Europe are just crippling.
Well, here's the thing. Look at any team in the English Premier League, and then look at how many people from the UK actually play on that team. You know, I think Arsenal starts, what, 1? Well, no, 2 because of Saka. But many times they start, for long periods of time, teams with no British players at all. You know. There's at least
I'm watching the Chelsea detective right now, and of course they're rooting for Chelsea.
Well, somebody has to. If you're gonna root,
I was waiting for that.
You're gonna root for Chelsea. It might as well be in a fictional TV show because they all want to play in good leagues. Well, that might be true, but let me see here. Messi and I could name several others. Hugo Lloris, you know, they decided.
Follow the dollar bills. Yeah. Follow the magic bouncing dollar bills.
According to Opta, you're familiar with Opta, Tim, Major League Soccer is ranked as the 9th best league in the world. I'm just saying. That's what it says. Let me see here. I think we might be higher than that in.
It's better than living in Argentina.
In 2024, Major League Soccer ranked 2nd in the world for total attendance among all soccer leagues, behind only the English Premier League. Outperformed leagues like the Bundesliga, Serie A, and La Liga. So, what about that? Yes, Messi has gone there to retire. Well, immediately after winning the World Cup, I know, Tim, you may not be aware of this because you live in England, but the World Cup is generally seen as the highest prize in soccer in the world. And Messi went from the World Cup, and I believe the Golden Boot at the World Cup, directly into Major League Soccer. Better than living in Argentina. Well, that's... Yes, you have a much bigger population and bigger stadiums. No, Tim.
We don't have bigger stadiums here.
No, not for soccer. Not for soccer. Now, there's a few of the teams that do play in extremely large stadiums, Atlanta, Seattle, but most of them play in stadiums that hold 20, 25,000. Most of them. It's because the Spanish couldn't afford to pay him anymore.
Well, and even if you're playing in a football stadium, I mean, the biggest one is Bama and probably Michigan and a couple of others.
Well, they
that are
play
like 100K.
They play Atlanta. Atlanta plays in the Falcons Stadium, and Seattle plays in the Seahawks Stadium.
So that's like 65 or something.
No, it's
70.
Yeah, it's 70.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I just saw this information on World Football Net. So Atlanta averages 45 a game. Charlotte averages 32, Seattle 30, and Seattle's numbers are down, by the way. San Diego 28, Chicago Fire 26, Columbus Crew 25. So the average attendance at a Major League Soccer, match is 21,000, and that's 13 games into the season, but already 4 million people have attended matches. And then you've got FC Dallas at dead last with 11,000 because they, again, like the geniuses they are, decided to remodel their stadium during the season. Good call. Wait till it's 100 degrees and remodel the stadium. Yeah.
What the heck?
Oh, and guess what? Next season, they're going to do the other side of the stadium. So they're going to average 11,000 for that one, too. Yeah. Well. Yes, Major League Soccer for a long time has averaged more per game than hockey or basketball. So,
Well, we know hockey's not in there. That's only going to be good in the trashy northern states.
yeah, well, then they put teams in Florida and California with the players from the north. Tim Jenkinson says, I can see Morocco producing some really good players. I got to tell you, at the last World Cup, Morocco was my favorite team. Those guys, I am telling you what, man, oh man, the skill level, the pressure, I really, really loved the way they played. I was upset.
I think it's because of the quality of that extra virgin olive oil that they produce there.
That could be it too. That could also be it. But Morocco, boy, were they fun to watch. I went there last November, and they play it everywhere. Yeah, and they had a really good coach, but their players, they took people on. I really admired the way they played in the last World Cup. But anyway, enough of that. People, we'll have to talk about soccer on. If I resurrect it, Tom Gulley's Unnecessary Sports Show. That's what it's called.
Are we talking about sports? No, it's unnecessary.
It's like the world really needs another sports show. That's the last thing the world needs. Tim says he's already subscribed.
How many sports shows has ESPN got on? Like 20?
I don't know. That's the last thing anybody needs. The last thing that anybody needs is another sports show. I just get tired of all these. Colin Cowherd, I can't stand. Stephen A. Smith, I can't stand.
Oh, he's awful.
Rich Eisen had one of the owners of Wrexham on just a little while back. And the owner said, look, we provide the financing, but then we're out of it. We let the football people make the football decisions, and we stay out of that. We just do some of the promotion and stuff, but they make all the on-the-field decisions. We don't want any part of that. And Rich Eisen, like he was talking to a 3-year-old, went, well, look at you. That's an ownership position. And I just wanted to punch Rich Eisen in the face, which is too bad because I like Rich Eisen. But stick to NFL and golf, buddy. You just told the owner of a team that for the first time in 164 years of English soccer went back to back to back in promotion. Oh, look at you. Oh, that's cute. Oh, so condescending.
What do you want from a guy that tries to make a big deal out of running a horrible 40-yard dash at the combine?
I know.
The guy's a joke. He does get good people on his show, though.
Tom Gulley's transfer news. I'll tell you what I wouldn't do, Tim. I wouldn't be like all these places that for 3 months go, so-and-so rumored to be talking to such and such. I hate that stuff. It's like, just if you need clicks that bad, tell them that, David Reyes set himself on fire. Don't, you can do a deadline day special. It would be fun to do a breaking news deadline day special for 12 hours before the end of the thing or something. Dupa says, Tom, Wolf, and Tim, this is why I love Dupa so much. This is a great question. Who is your favorite sports announcer? Who's your favorite sports announcer or host? Or as Tim would say, presenter. Tim doesn't have one. Here you go. Ian Wright is really good when England are playing because he gets really passionate about it. Oh, yeah, the transfer rumors are trash. You know who I really like over in England? And I hated him as a player. And I still don't understand all this. Ooh, look out. He's so scary. Is Roy Keane.
Yeah, I knew you're going.
I didn't like him as a player, but man, do I love him. I love him as a pundit. God, he's great. God, is he great. Oh, he's a big baby.
Mine are all deceased. They're all gone.
Well, yeah, Howard Cosell was one of my favorites.
I always liked listening to Harry Carey do Cubs games.
Yeah, Harry Carey was great.
All those guys are all gone. All the great baseball guys are just about dead. And
Jack Buck and all of them are gone.
Yep.
Roy Keane doesn't hold back. Well, it's his job. Just do your job. The three most overrated things are smiles, parties, and I forget what the third one was. And that's why I haven't won any trophies. What did she say? Roy, have you been down in makeup? You spent 2 hours down there, and I tell you, it hasn't done you any good at all. God, it says it right to that chick's face. Oh, God. But the best one was...
You know what would happen to somebody if they did that with our shows?
Oh, God.
It would be like he just shot the president or something.
Yeah. Well, was it Jordan
Blackballed, fired every network, never work again.
I don't know whether it was Trent Alexander or Jordan Henderson, but he's what's he whining about at halftime? Play the game, get back in the game, smash into somebody. Don't just sit there whine like a big baby.
Like a big baby.
Baby.
You big baby.
Baby. And then he pauses and just goes, baby. The women they have now are terrible. They are. Major League Soccer has a bunch of women announcers, and they're awful. Every single one of them. Nothing against women, just the ones they pick for the football can't string a sentence together. Well, and the ones with the women, they make observations that are just ridiculous, and they're and no fault of their own. They're women based. Women's soccer in the United States, the thing they're really good at is structure. They keep their shape very well, and they're very regimented, and they don't depend as much on physical ability for the obvious reasons. The gaps in physical ability aren't there like they are with the men. And so they'll say things like, well, he should have been backing up this player, and this should have been. You're like, no, honey, what happened was they isolated their best striker against the other team's worst forward. That's what happened. You can back them up with whoever you want to. That they make observations that are silly. Just silly.
It's the same way here with football. They're just awful. Don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Never touched the field, know nothing about anything.
Exophthalmos says, no, I don't want to hear any more about Bill Hicks. Well, we covered Bill Hicks already. This is the portion of the show where I ought to be doing other things, but
cutting off and going to eat. getting
They really tried to make women's football popular, but even the women prefer to watch the men. I will say one thing. Caitlin Clark's got me watching WNBA.
Not me. No, I don't care.
Every now and then, if I see it, I'll watch a little bit of it. If she's playing, I will watch a little bit of it.
Well, at least they got her an enforcer.
Oh, they bought her 2 enforcers. Yeah. They got her another guard, so she's going to be open a little bit more often too. But yeah, they got her that one enforcer chick, and now
yeah, you're not going to be playing my teammate like that anymore.
Yeah, now if you want to thug up on her, it's going to be and the enforcer they got her isn't like just like fresh-faced third-year player.
No, she's been there for a while.
Exactly. She's been there for 7 years. They have no question in their mind that they're going to get enforced. But that other girl that can't make a layup, was it baby?
Oh my Lord!
Baby giraffe. Have you seen that that 12-minute video of her open in the paint? No one near her.
I got through like 10 seconds of it. The first few that she missed, that was it.
Yeah, it's like she talks all this trash and she can't even make layups.
All her high rebounds, high rebounding numbers are all because she has to rebound and put back in her layup 4 times.
Her own shot, yeah. Tim Jenkins says, what did you think of that basketball in the Olympics when it's like a quarter of a court and 1 net? I think that's the 3-on-3, isn't it? It's the 3-on-3 tournaments. Wolf and I are from Indiana. So those 3-on-3 tournaments are huge. I mean, huge. One of them's called the Gus Macker. And you go to, say, Bloomington, Indiana, where they're having the Gus Macker tournament. There are thousands upon thousands of people there and hundreds upon hundreds of teams playing that 3-on-3 basketball. And I like it.
They have them out here at Santa Monica or Venice or whatever, and it's usually they'll throw some pros in there.
Oh yeah, there was pros in the one in Bloomington. I played in the media division when I was on the air down there, and we had a guy. Where did he play at? Like Elkhart Central. So it was me, the Elkhart Central guy, and some other dude, and we just destroyed. Well, come on, we're playing newspapers and other people, and we just mopped the place up. But Kent Benson was one of the main guys running it, so he got a couple of pros. I think Rick Rowray came down there, who wasn't a pro, but yeah, there was some like had a cup of coffee pros in there. Everybody thought Damon Bailey was going to come there. Damon Bailey didn't show up.
No, there's probably some G leaguers or something thrown in there.
Yeah, guys that had big, Edwards. What was that kid's name that played at IU?
I don't know. What about the dude from Purdue? He's in the G League. The dude that was putting up like 40-something points in the tournament.
I don't know.
What was that kid's name?
Pay attention to college basketball anymore. He's not going to, well, with the exception of Purdue, Purdue gets its players back. They don't go into the portal. They've done such a good job of recruiting, but
he stayed, and they were trying to win the tournament, and they got I think to the 16 with that kid, and that's all they had.
Matt Painter, did you see where he donated his entire compensation for last year to some charity? Yeah, it was like $4.2 million. Yeah. Maybe he's just trying to keep his job because, man, although you can't really fault him. Nobody else has gotten it done there. Let me see here.
Yeah, Richie can't stay on the field.
Okay, so Purdue men's basketball head coach Matt Painter has a history of donating to various charities and causes. He recently donated his entire
you're talking about Painter, the coach? I thought you were talking about the quarterback, Painter.
No. He donated his entire $4.2 million bonus and sponsorship deal to charities and homeless relief. So, boom.
Well, how much money do you really need? I mean, that guy's been making bank here for quite a while. How long has he been at Purdue? It's like at least a decade, isn't it?
Oh
More
God,
than that.
I think so.
It's got to be more than that.
I think Katie
15?
Katie kind of handpicked him. You know, 20 years.
20?
20. Yep.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
Katie did handpick him. He was Katie's assistant, and because of course he played at Purdue. You know, he's from Fort Wayne.
Well,
Originally, but he went to Delta.
well, I'm not surprised. I am surprised that they did as well as they did this year, although I knew they were going out.
Tim Jenkinson says, why do they have so many games in the NBA each week? Because those players are expensive and they need the money. They need to get that revenue in from those games. But, the Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, and they're ahead like 3-1, I think.
No. They just won that series. I think they.
No, I mean, this is the new series. I think they're up 3-1.
No. No. Game 1 won't even happen till Wednesday, May 21st.
They just won the one against Cleveland.
Right. That was the
3-1.
that was the conference semifinals. And they won it 4-1. But
Boston's getting worked, so it'll be the Pacers against the Knicks.
Let's see here. Oh, the Knicks lead the series 2-0. No, wait. They lead 2-1. 2-1. And
but Tatum is out now. He's just
I know.
Today having surgery, I think today.
Yeah. So maybe
that's the end of that.
Oh wait, I'm looking at this now. The Knicks lead the series 3-2. The Celtics won yesterday. So they play tomorrow at 7, and then if they need to, they'll play on Monday. But wouldn't it be weird if the Pacers won the championship?
They look really good.
Well, they do, but they are shooting at an incredible. I don't think they can continue to shoot at that level. I mean,
they got two guys from that Toronto championship team, so
we'll see. I mean, I'd love it if they did, but it's just against Cleveland. Cleveland was just sitting there going, they can't keep shooting like that from 3-point range, and they did.
Wrong.
Yeah,
Wrong.
they did. Anyway,
he got Siakam and what's the guard that was from Toronto that played with the glove?
Halliburton, Harrington. I don't know. Does his name start with an H? I don't know.
No, kind of stocky. What the heck is his name?
Kind of stocky NBA player. Hold on. Anyway, Tyrese
stockier than usual. Give me a break. You know what I'm talking about.
Pascal Segosi, Miles Turner, Benedict Mathurin, Andrew Nembhard, Obi Toppin, James Johnson, Aaron Nesmith, Johnny Furphy, TJ McConnell, Thomas Bryant. I don't know.
Nembhard's a U of A dude.
Jerace Walker, Isaiah Jackson, Pig Eye McGee. I don't know. They got people. Larry Bird got himself a squad together finally. Tim Jenkinson says this is the rebirth of the Tom Gulley Sports Show. Yeah. We won't even cover the NBA. Here's me
to cover bad defense and
Here's me.
Poor refereeing. And
here's me covering the NBA. Hey, did you see that guy take 5 steps on the way to the basket and the ref didn't even think about blowing the whistle?
5? Don't you mean 6?
Might as well be pro football. They just tuck the ball under their arm and shoot for daylight.
back up, taking 3 steps without dribbling the ball, and it's no problem.
Yep. The centers out there heaving up 40-foot jumpers because they're from Europe and they have a chance of making them. They're basically guards that are
I'm
tall.
impressed with the U of A kids and the ones from Gonzaga. Those guys are putting out.
Whatever. They don't play defense anymore. Forget it. I don't like sports where they don't play defense.
Well, that's the NBA. You know.
I also don't like sports where you can't foul people.
You can, they just don't call it.
Well, no, that's like British soccer in the 70s. I watched like a replay of the Charity Shield from like 1977 the other day, and the fouls that were going on that they didn't even think about calling, that today they would just be like aghast. You'd probably get banned for 10 games. But now it's
a 3-game suspension and a several $1,000 5-figure fine.
My word. Yes. But anyway. Oh, well, I guess we ought to just wrap this up and you can go watch Bill Hicks.
Yeah, well, I'm going back to watching Chelsea.
Chelsea will never be good again unless another corrupt Russian billionaire buys them. You don't know about all that, do you?
You have to be corrupt. He can't be legit.
No. Tim says, have a good night. Yeah. Chelsea, this guy, this evil Russian billionaire, bought the team, and with his evil Russian billionaire petrodollars, he bought all these great players and a pretty good coach, and they won a bunch of stuff. And then when all of the Russian bad stuff happened, they found out this guy was evil, and they got rid of him, and now they're just terrible. Tim Jenkinson says,
great weapons.
Says, yay, Chelsea are done. Plus, they got rid of Christian Pulisic, and look at him now over at AC Milan, lighting things up. So,
look at him now.
Exothalamus says, good night, Tom. Good night, Exothalamus. However, I'm probably not saying that right, but
what it looks like.
Well, it's just not spelled the way exothalamus is spelled, but it's okay.
Well, that's okay.
It's a reasonable facsimile. All right, I got to get out of here. I need to go absorb peen.
Well, it's time for me to have my delicious shredded breasts on Ritz crackers.
Good cracker.
Good cracker.
It's a good cracker.
Everything tastes good on a Ritz.
Everything tastes good when it sits on a Ritz. Good cracker. You know that guy's beloved by the American public when all he has to go is good cracker.
With a grin on his face.
A big grin and a big plate full of stuff he didn't make. You know, little rolled up lunch meats and stuff on crackers.
Yeah. Rolled up slick meat with a stick in it.
With a stick and a piece of cheese. Talking about how you make pie crust with it and everything else. Good cracker. I wish I had that kind of power, that kind of communications power. I could just go, good streaming show.
Roll up some slick meat, put a stick in it, and then
good streaming show.
Have a big grin, shake your head back and forth.
It's a good streaming show.
Good slick meat.
Good YouTube show. Yeah.
Good slick meat on white bread with mustard on it. Fried slick meat.
Yum, yum, yum. Telling us about all the recipes of stuff to do with the Ritz cracker. There's only so many things, man. You know, I can dunk them in something or put something on them or just eat them plain. Good cracker.
Got them all sitting out there in the back in rows of different.
By God, I'm doing a damn show on Ritz crackers. That's all there is to it. Ritz crackers. I want my UK friends to know about the Ritz cracker. Oh, let me check out the Wikipedia.
What kind of biscuit is that? They call them biscuits.
Yeah, they do, and they come in a tin, by the way.
I say, Daddy, would you like a biscuit?
Would you like a Ritz cracker?
Would you like a Ritz cracker with slick meat and a dip in it?
I don't know if I can do it, Joe. There's not enough information on it.
The best cracker ever made, and there's no information.
Well, there is some, but I'm looking to see what makes a Ritz cracker different. Apparently, there was a similar cracker called the Hi-Ho cracker that Sunshine.
Now, they slide some of that sugar in there.
Yeah, it's a sweeter cracker, but
Now, you know Uncle Billy can't have those Ritz because he's got the sugar.
oh, they're owned by Mondelez International. Now they're not owned by Nabisco anymore. But yeah,
He's probably a subsidiary of Kraft or somebody like that owns everything on the planet.
right, Nabisco or Mars or something. All right, man. Well, go have a Ritz cracker. I gotta go make some boudin. Boudin. Make some boudin. So, but thanks. Go ahead.
Sounds like you're saying booty.
No, boudin. Boudin. I had a Cajun actual guy at the Festival of Acadia, and he spent about 2 or 3 hours teaching me how to say it right. Boudin.
Is there some kind of Mardi Gras deal coming up here?
I don't
I
know.
know Mardi Gras was in February or March or something.
Yeah, it was before Easter.
I just saw something online it might have been YouTube talking about Mardi Gras something. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? That happened 2 months ago.
Those people are always looking for a way to party. And then there's some down in Brazil, and then they have them elsewhere. And it's like,
Frank, he fell down and dropped that glass of beer down there. I think we need to have a festival to celebrate.
yeah, exactly. Or somebody just made a bunch of sausage they can't sell. Well, we better have a festival.
We got to get rid of that with
No.
schooners of beer and have about some of those sausages.
All right, I got to get out of here. We'll talk to you.
Daddy. Goodbye.
We'll talk to you later. Oh, God. There's the wolf. Always nice to have him aboard. And thanks to all of you for being here, the 3 of you that are remaining, because sports is so popular on this show. As if this show was not doing bad enough as it is, we decided to talk about sports. Anyway, I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get up on out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And I guess the only thing left to say is, tomorrow night, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Dun dun. Till next time, we'll see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4. They call me Mr. Gulley. I've got something for your ear. Now it might sound kind of funny, but I'll make it very clear. So what we talking about? We're talking about spiders, and we're talking about pervitin', and we're talking about Bigfoot. I'm here to tell you where he's been. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Mr. Gulley, and I'm gonna lead the way. They call me Mr. Gulley. I'm here to save the day. They call me Talking